Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining Create with Dee. I'm Dee Slater, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome to my channel. Today, I have a quick technique for you. I think that it's something that you're really going to like. I encourage you to give it a try. I'm calling it the Trace Around, Stamp Around technique, and we're going to play around a little bit the first part of our class time today. And then if you want to, you can stick around to see how I made this this card here. We are going to be using the Delicate Pines bundle on this. This is part of the online exclusives from Stampin' Up! That's where you can find that. So if you go onto my online store and click under the online exclusives, you can see the Delicate Pine bundle under that category and the whole suite of products if you're interested on that. All right, as always, as you come on, if you'd like to say hello and where you're watching from, I'm in Northeast Indiana in a city called Kendallville. It's north of Fort Wayne by about an hour and south of Sturgis, Michigan for about an hour. So, so that's me. Let me know where you're watching from. And if there's anything in this video that you like, boy, I sure would appreciate a thumbs up. Leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, maybe even forward this to some of your stamping friends that you think that might enjoy it. Okay, let me turn the camera around and we'll get started. All right, and of course I forgot the most important component here during my live, and that is a pencil. Let me grab a pencil real quick. All right, so the idea of the trace around is to trace around a shape. Probably the most common one to try is a circle. So here I use the 1 7/8 circle punch to create this card here. And I'm going to show how you can take one circle and use it, or really any image, and do it and use it for two different ways of how to position your stamps on it. Okay, so here's what, here's all that it is. So here's the circle, and I traced around it. So, whoops, there's a little sneak peek on that one. Let's do this. I think I messed up. Okay. I thought I had another piece. My goodness, here I thought I was all ready, and I'm not quite. Here we go. Okay, so I'm starting out with a piece of my background, and this is going to be 5 1/4 by 4. And let me just see if that is correct. Yes. I have some removable adhesive. You can use a glue dot too on that. Just if you use a glue dot, kind of play around with a little bit in your hands to take a lot of the tackiness off, because we don't want any residue, or we don't want our paper to lift off or to tear on here. All right, so again, I'm using the 1 7/8 circle punch. Any shape will do. And I'm going to position it about on the upper 2/3 of my card here. I'm going to take that sample out of the road for just a moment. Make sure that it's where I want. And then with a pencil, I'm going to trace around the image. Okay, so that's step 1, is to trace around. I normally do my lives a little later on in the morning because when the sun's out, there is a little glare that's coming in here. So I do apologize if the lighting's a little uneasy. All right, so now for the stamp around, I like choosing, for this size of a card, I like choosing, like, I'm going to call them like medium size stamps. So this is the block B. So something that's, you know, maybe about an inch, 1.5 inches on your sentiments. Okay, so I'm going to be using this one here, and I'm going to use Mossy Meadow. All right, so what I like to do to kind of position my stamps of where to go is I like to do a north, south, east, east, and west kind of thing to make it symmetrical. Okay, so this is to me the easiest way to do that. And I'm using kind of the pine branch snowflake image here on the Delicate Pines with Mossy Meadow. And I'm going to have so that my shape is going in the same direction. So here's the stamp around, or here's our trace around. I'm going to stamp my image on this one so that it's centered on the trace. Okay, so I'm going to start with north and then come down here and south, east, and west. That gives me an approximate evenness to my stamp around. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a smaller image to fill in between. So now I'm going to take the Misty Moonlight, and there's this cute little snowflake, like a smaller one. And I'm just going to keep whatever pattern that I want to do. This is actually what we did at my team meeting this month. So this was the team meeting project, this technique. So I'm going to take my image, my anchor image, and I'm going to take my next image and I'm going to stamp it to the left of all 4 images. And I know I'm going to put another image in there. And so I'm going to stamp. And again, I'm going to stamp as close to that center line as what I can on the trace around. Next, we have these cute little pine cones that are in here. And got pecan pie. And I want these all to be kind of facing outward. So I'm going to just turn my project. Oops, I got some smudgies on here. So I want all of the pine cones to be kind of facing out. And this one I'm kind of using, I'm not doing it right in the middle, I'm kind of doing it more on the outside. And there we just did our stamp around. So this is how you can create shaped images on a piece. All right, so that's how you would do a circle. Let's see how it would look if we used a rectangle border. Oh, before I go off of the circle, let's do another one. Again, this is a technique class. We're just kind of playing around. I would recommend that you do just that, like take a scrap piece of paper and kind of familiarize yourself with the technique. This time I'm going to take my same shape that I did. That's the 1 7/8 circle punch. I'm going to trace around. And another option is, instead of stamping in the center of the line, use that as a point to anchor to use the edge of your stamps. So by that, what I mean is I'm going to take that same stamp that we did before, and like this time, like if I go and I want to stamp on the edge, but if I stamp on the edge over here, it's going to be off the paper. So I'm going to start my 4-point with this image on an angle. So I'm just going to turn my paper and stamp my north, south, east, west. Okay, so now I have my anchor. And this time, as you can see, I've got a little more space because of centering it more. So if we wanted to, we can fill this in. And I do want to. And so again, this is just kind of playing around to show you how you can do this. I'm going to take another of those images. This one's kind of more of a fir tree look. And I've got old olive, so I'm switching up the colors. And now I'm just going to go into the center of these. So I'm still going to go off the edge a little bit, I guess. Okay, so again, I've got my circle and I'm stamping on the outer edges. So if you were doing this, if I was doing this again, I would probably come in with a smaller circle so that these outside wouldn't go there. But I'm just kind of showing how that you can play around with this. Okay, now I'm going to take my other images again. And this time I'm going to go for the snowflake to the right of the mossy meadow. And then we can take our pine cone. You can see how much fun you can have doing this technique. and going to the right of the old olive. So cute. And then, of course, once you're happy with your stamp around, you just take your eraser and you would erase off the pencil mark. Okay, so that's a little idea on this, on how to do this. So again, you can stamp right over top of the line using that as your center, or you can use your trace around and use it as an outer and then stamp on the outer border of it. So that's the circle. Hi, Timothy. Oh, thanks. I'm glad that you like it. So maybe you're thinking, great, Dee, that's a circle. What do we do if we want to do a rectangle? You can so make a border around here. And of course, you could just stamp around the outer edge of it. But there's something about me that likes the trace around. So I'm using a 2 1/4 by 3 1/2 piece of layering. And I've got this removable adhesive. And I'm going to center this. And let's do our same technique. We're going to trace around. And I'm pressing pretty hard on the pencil just so that you guys can see the outline. You wouldn't have to be that dark. All right, let's take our same stamps and we're going to just kind of keep doing the same thing. Now, because I know that this is a border in my stamps, I know that this is, the images are going to go outside of the border on some case. Just know that I know that. All right, so I'm going to use, for this one, I'm actually going to use the, I'm stamping on the border. Again, you could go outside of the border if you wanted to. Maybe we'll do half and half so that you can kind of see. We'll see what I want to do. All right, so here's, I'm going to anchor the corners. I always like to anchor my stamped image first, or my traced image first. It just helps me, again, understand the spacing. Hi, Tucson, Arizona. Awesome. Thanks for watching. Okay, so here's, the anchor on it. And I also am going to show you with the rectangle that you don't have to use the same amount of images on each side. It's kind of more about, in my mind, being symmetrical. Okay, so I'm going to take the other image here. And, oh, well, I guess I should have used my old olive. Let me just get this stamped off here. I'm just going to come back on it just so that we can see the colors. Looks kind of cool that way. All right. So pretend that's the same color. This is just practice, right? Now I'm going to take my snowflake and on here, I'm going to do 2 snowflakes. I'm going to do a snowflake on either side of the mossy meadow. Again, just come up with your own pattern. You don't have to repeat it if you don't want to, the way that I am. I just kind of like that look. So you could just stop there, but I'm going to add that cute little pine cone that you guys kind of can tell that I love. And this time, so again, just kind of following the pattern, filling in the blanks, spaces where it needs another image. You can mix and match your large and small images however you'd like. I hope you can see how fun this is. I'm having fun with it. And there's I've got some florals that I want to do. Oh, look how cute that is. So then, of course, you've just got a nice stamped border that we stamped around, and you can add elements, you can add your sentiments, etc. So as you can see, then if you wanted to, you can, we could trace it again. And then I used the trace around and use that to stamp it in the center. You can use that for the outside. Okay, so that's the technique. I hope that you like it. If you want to, please stick around and we'll finish making this card here. My sunlight is coming in, kind of distorting this, but this card is beautiful. I took our Stamp-A-Round, added some elements here, and really made a wow card with that. I think it's a wow card. All right, so ahead of time, I did that same Stamp-A-Round that we did. And let's see here, where is my, well, my card base has gone, but we'll do this. All right, so ahead of time, what I did is I've die cut out some elements. So I did emboss this with the brick embossing, 3D embossing folder. From our Delicate Pines bundle, I took this die here that if you would stack it and stack it and stack it, it makes a like a pine snowflake. This time I'm just using 2 of the elements. I've got our Mossy Meadow, and I used basically the cloud cover glimmer paper from the Peaceful Garden glimmer paper pack to get that light kind of almost silver look on it. From the Textured Notes dies, I die cut out a little sentiment strip here. So let's go ahead and we'll stamp our sentiment first, because I just want you to see how I put the card all together, how you can take your trace around, stamp around, and really, you know, bring it to life. So I'm going to take our Misty Moonlight and the sentiment from the stamp set, Warmest Winter Wishes. And we'll get that stamped. Okay. And I've got, this is from the Peaceful Garden Suite, but you know, you can mix and match all you want. This is the Misty Moonlight silver edged ribbon. Look how beautiful that is. All right, let's go ahead and we'll get some of that off. And just tie that towards the bottom. And this is why I wanted to pick this, the lighter blue tone on it. It really picks up the silver in our ribbon. And let's see, I didn't cut that quite enough. Let's do this. So again, you could pick this whichever side that you want. I'm going to use that one. And let's trim this down just a little bit. I'm going to just tape the edges on the back side. See if that's where I want it. Let's go up a little higher. For those of you that follow me on lives normally on Thursday at noon Eastern, I do apologize. I had just some things that kind of popped up that I had to switch our weekly live around just a little bit. All right, and now what did I do with my ribbon? Where's my ribbon spool? I probably walked with it somewhere. Oh, right here. Hello. I'm just going to cut another little piece, and I'm going to do kind of like a faux knot on it, where meaning that like I wrap the ribbon around first, and now I'm going to tie the knot where I want it. Makes it a lot easier than to try to tie the knot first. There we go. Adorable. Let's get this trimmed up a little bit. You know, I watch other people's videos too. Hi, Joan. Well, everybody's late because I'm not, what do I want to say? I had to just announce everything so last minute. This time I'm going to put it on this piece here. But oh my gosh. There's something about like a stamping technique to have in our arsenal that's really easy. That's makes you feel artistic, and we can wow the people that we're sending it to. Okay, That's that. All right, so let's put these guys on, just in case you got this bundle or you've got something similar to try. And let's get this stacked on. I'm just using liquid glue to anchor this down. I just want to offset this just a itty bit here. And then we'll pop up our warmest wishes with some Stampin' Dimensionals, some foam dots on here. And let's see, I think I just want to do it pretty much in the middle. Cute. And then part of that suite are these little snowflake embellishments, and I added some of those. So that's how you can take your trace around, stamp arounds, and really make a one-of-a-kind card. Let me turn the camera around and say bye to everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed seeing this technique. Maybe it's a reminder of it. Maybe you haven't tried it before, but I encourage you to grab a circle punch or a circle. And even if you don't have a circle shape, obviously you can cut out a rectangle and try it. And just have fun with your stamp sets and make some unique borders. Like on here, I could see, like, if you wanted to, you could put a photo of something. Wouldn't that make a cute, like, family Christmas photo? You could trim down your photos or use the outline of it for that. Again, you're making wreaths and other circle borders. Just so much fun to have with your stamps. Well, I'm so glad that those of you that joined live are liking this. If you're watching the replay, thanks for watching it from start to finish. And again, I invite you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if there's anything in this video that you'd like, I would really appreciate a thumbs up to it. Leave a comment. And above all else, have a great day. Happy crafting, everybody. Bye-bye.